tuned in to the Off Market Mindset,
Whoa!
where real estate gets real. Hey guys, welcome to the Off Market Mindset podcast. My name is Michael Riordan. I'm the host here, and I'm joined here by Steve Pugh. Now, Steve, he's a 28-year licensed broker, 23 years as a Florida broker, 16 years owning his own brokerage. 5 years of those were with EXP. He saw it as a better platform to run his business, which he'll, go over a little bit later. Now, with that, he's able to get the company to top 10 in the state of Florida, as well as his company is also one of the number one brokerages in Central Florida area. And he is also doing over 50 transactions a year personally. So he is still active and he's not one of those people sitting on his couch enjoying the life. But
If
Steve,
only.
if you don't mind just kind of going over anything that I might have missed and what you'd like to, kind of share with the audience here before we get started.
Yeah, no, all good. Thank you. I appreciate that gracious introduction. I'm not over 50. I'm about 40 to 50 units a year. Um, Age-wise, I'm nearly over 50. And we run one of the top EXP teams in Florida, and then one of the top Central Florida teams. So yeah, I relinquished. You said brokerages and all good, Mike, but I relinquished that headache about 5 years ago. So I just kind of run a brokerage within a brokerage, obviously being under the EXP umbrella. So
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, and I
Mhm.
never quite understood that. I mean, let's say that there is a broker watching this and they were thinking about going into EXP. Um, Explain the difference, because I mean, you're still a broker, right? But then you're brokered by EXP is how it's kind of like broken down.
Yeah, so I'm actually a broker associate. I downgrade your license, right?
Okay.
All the brokers out there are like, oh, like freaking out right now. Um, yeah, I had the same issue, right? I think it's, and I'm not saying they do, but a bit of it is ego, right? So you
Hmm.
downgrade your license from a broker to a broker associate, and then now I'm just a team lead and I lead a team.
Yeah. You mean to tell
So
me that brokers have egos? No way.
no, would never
That
would
doesn't
have thought,
happen, man.
huh? Never would have thought. So I relinquished all the liability. And what I found was is I was wearing a lot of hats. I was in production. I was training agents. You'd train them, then they'd leave. Babysitting agents, putting systems into place, onboarding systems, training systems, paying for tools, being the trainer. It was just too much. So for me personally, so I just leverage all of EXP systems, tools, and resources, and have made some great relationships and connected and collaborated with some great people and continue to do so along the way.
Got it.
That's it,
Okay.
man.
And
Yeah.
talking about collaborating, I have to thank you because you're one of the first people to help me out getting into real estate, years and years ago there. But
Thank
um,
you, sir.
being part of your, team and brokerage and everything like that, I keep saying your brokerage, but I mean, that's how I look at
Have
it,
it, Mike. Have it.
right? But being part of your ecosystem, I guess we'll say, right? I have noticed that you still provide, tons of value. You're constantly doing trainings, you're going over the systems and processes and everything else. So, um, any other person watching this that may be a broker may say, well, I don't want to give up that. Like, I want to still train my teams and I want to still offer them value and stuff like that. Obviously, you're still, doing some of those things or even all those things really. But how has joining EXP helped you to streamline that so it's not so much work for you anymore?
Uh, Great question. I mean, obviously they have comprehensive onboarding
Mhm.
with, see, because with comprehensive checklists to try to get agents into production as quickly as possible, right? They have programs called Fast Cap that you can plug agents into. It's a 6 week training program just to kind of get them kick-started and get them into production quickly. My goal is to understanding that the people have to do the work, right? You can lead a horse to water, you can't help it drink, and you can't want more for somebody than they want for themselves.
Hmm.
But my goal is to give every business partner or agent that we come into contact with or that partners with us the greatest chance of succeeding
Hmm.
through tools, the systems, and the resources that we have. That's my goal. And obviously, we're building the airplane as we fly. We've got a lot of work to do, but we've definitely come a long way.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. Now, one thing that I really like about EXP, and as you know, I've left EXP and I've came back before and stuff, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be a realtor anymore. Because obviously the reason for this podcast, this is the off-market mindset, right? So,
Yeah.
people are probably wondering why you're on this podcast, and we'll go over that later. But, um, one thing I really love is the tools, and you have access to like CRMs and, like you said, training. There's marketing materials. I mean, you name it, everything that you need for your business is there. What, I guess, what tools would you say with all your experience? I mean, 20, was it 28 years in the business now, or
Mhm.
26? Um,
28.
it is 28.
Yeah, don't forget about those
Making
other
that gap
two.
year,
Those
sorry.
other two are important, Michael.
Right? So the 28 years in the business there, like, what would you say with your experience is the most valuable tools that EXP offers for maybe a broker to offer to their agents? Let's say you have a broker or a team wanting to move to EXP, and
Hmm.
then what would you say is the most valuable to the agents themselves?
Well, that's a great question. I think most valuable is going to be a performing CRM, right? At the end of the day, the best CRM is the one you're going to use, but there are ones that are better than others. So a quality CRM is what I would say is probably paramount. Uh, and then from an agent perspective, it's gotta be the MLS or a way to house data where they can search properties. Yeah.
Okay, and
So
I mean, obviously, somebody can go to Keller Williams or any of the other brokerage out there and get the MLS.
yeah.
Like, what would you say specifically that EXP offers that would provide more value to an agent?
At the end at the end of the day, they're all vehicles, right? KW is a vehicle, EXP is a vehicle, Remax is a vehicle. All I've discovered, and it's not for everybody. I mean, in my personal opinion, if you're a part-time agent, if you're an agent who is happy doing anywhere between 5 to 8 deals a year, EXP is not the place for you. You're better off joining 100% brokerage, right? If you are growth-minded, learning-based, coachable, you want to grow, this is where you need to be because this is where the top talent is. And I don't want this podcast to be a sell on EXP and us go on and on about it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's going back to, and now I forgot what I was saying in the beginning, Michael. But in terms of the most valuable tools within inside EXP, for me, it's the collaboration and it's the relationships, and that's not a tool at the end of the day. I mean, it's debatable. It is and it isn't. But that's what's made the difference for me is the environment.
Hmm.
So as you may or may not know, I had some demons in my past and struggled with some alcohol and drug addiction. And I've been on a quest to be a better human for the last, I mean, I sobered up 9 years ago, going on 10 years now. But for probably these last 7 years, I'm just on a quest to become better, right? A better human, a better leader, a better parent, a better um, spouse. And it takes time, and it's not easy, and it's daily work, and but this may sound cliche or corny, But I think that, my affiliation with the company has helped that and continues to do so.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when you say like your affiliates, is it like just having support from other people in the company, or is it like
Yeah.
knowing you have such a reputation with them, or like what do you mean?
Just support from people in the company and the relationships that I built and the people
Mhm.
that hold me accountable and because that's what accountability is. In my opinion, it's the highest form of love, right? Is
Yeah.
accountability. But professionals will seek it, amateurs will avoid it.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's just being in those circles and knowing that you have other like-minded people to run with. Because, in all seriousness, and this has taken me a long time to realize, and it's still a struggle in some cases. It's, not everybody wants what you want. Not everybody is driven the way you are. Some people are happy doing X, and you just have to understand that.
Yeah.
So it's good when you can get around like-minded people that are striving for the same things. And that's what I found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, the way that EXP's been growing, it kind of goes along with what you're saying, having a growth mindset and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm part of the sub two community for real estate investing by Pace Morby. And he's got a saying, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So, I mean, it makes sense exactly what you're saying. And it's actually one of the reasons why I stayed in EXP is because of the networking ability. You know,
Mhm.
one of the hardest things in investing is finding realtors that want to work with you as an investor, which I'll touch on that a little bit later, but I want to ask you some things about what you just covered, not about EXP or anything, but about your own personal growth. Um,
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I do this podcast is for other people to be able to see other people's experiences and see their successes and their growths, right? And it's not just about real estate. I want people to use this as a vehicle to be able to do self-improvement as well. Or one of my podcast episodes, I talked about a guy that's working together with his wife. And, I'm sure there's people that they're wondering, how the heck do I do that, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, sure,
talk
I'm sure.
more about your past experiences and like maybe how they were affecting your life, what made you realize that you had to make a change, and then like how did you go about making that change?
These are great questions. We're going to be here for a while, but I'll try to condense it if I can, Michael. Um, so I was born in Wales, which is right next door to England. Had a pretty good childhood. Dad's an alcoholic. He's still going, not as bad as he used to be, but he's still going. Um, so I'm a true believer, it's caught not taught, right? And it's generational. And I didn't know that at the time. And I realize that now looking back, that I potentially changed the trajectory of my kids' lives, you know, understanding that if they'd have grown up in a similar household that I did, that there would have been some of the same behaviors. But long story short, moved over to the US. I always worked, but got my license at 19. Um, I was a worker, so I did well. I mean, back then I was probably selling 15 to 20 homes a year in my second, third year.
Hmm.
Drinking increased. Then I got introduced to marijuana. Then the marijuana, which they say is a gateway drug, that escalated into cocaine. And then that's when kind of the spiral started.
Hmm.
They used to call me Mick Dundee in the ghetto because I sounded like because I sounded like the guy from Crocodile Dundee. So when I drive in the ghetto to get my drugs, they'd be like, "Hey, here comes Mick. Here's Mick
Yeah.
Dundee." So you look back and it's funny, but you don't
I
think
don't know
about
what it is about being in the ghetto, but they always have nicknames for you. So I have kind
it.
of like a similar background, and they used to call me Iron Mike because I had big muscles back then. I used to go to the gym every day. Like Iron Mike, Big Mike, and one of my friends used to make fun of me because when he'd hang out with us, he'd be like, "Damn, dude, how many? You're Iron Mike, Big White Mike. Like, how many nicknames you got? How do you keep up?" And I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I thankfully I only had one, right? But I could see that. I could see that. Um, so then yeah, it progressed from there. I was in and out of jail. I mean, I never did a long time. I think the longest I did was about 3.5 weeks. But I was in and out. I was in rehab, court mandated. Um,
hmm
and then I don't know, Michael. I don't know. I was 37, so 47 now. Sobriety date is 4/8/16. God, the man upstairs will always make sure I don't screw that up because you just double it. 4/8/16. So I'll never forget that date.
Yeah.
Even I couldn't. That's why he planned it that way. So I met my partner, Laura, um, shortly before that, before the sobriety day, and maybe I was sick and tired of being sick and tired,
hmm
because I lost everything during the recession, and I was at a point where and I'll say this, I guess I'm not ashamed to say it, but I was at the point where I was stealing appliances out of foreclosed homes to support myself and my drug habit.
hmm
Um, because I had access, right? And I saw it in my mind as, well, I'm not stealing off an individual, I'm stealing off a corporation. Um, and I had access to all the houses. I'll never forget me and a buddy of mine who overdosed and died. He passed about 3 years ago now.
Oh wow.
He kept going down the same road, and I stopped, obviously. And we were in maybe two occasions. It got to the point where we were stealing pool heaters and throwing them in the back of my Hummer. Incredible. I'm driving around an H2 Hummer and I've got no
hmm
money, and so we're in this one house and we're halfway across the living room coming from the kitchen with the fridge, and a realtor pulls up.
Oh wow.
Realtor pulls up to show the house, and we see
Hey, we're
it through
just putting it in. So if you're making an offer,
through the window. And
new
once again,
refrigerator, right?
you look back and it's funny, thank by the grace of God, you can laugh at it now.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, you can see us like we're shuffling across the living room, trying to rush it back in to put it back in the kitchen. And right when she opens the door, we push it back in, and I'm pretending to show him the house. Oh, look at this beautiful kitchen. So
Yeah.
always like that. And 3.5 years into sobriety, I got involved with some stock, and I was dealing with things I didn't know anything about, and I had managed to get some money to the side, and I got involved with oil futures, and then the futures,
Oh, nice.
that's when it
Yeah.
crashed. Remember that? That was back in 20, I think, and I ended up losing. I was 3.5 years sober. I ended up losing 160 grand, which
Oh,
was
wow.
near enough the majority of what I had left, and I came so close to relapsing. I came close to relapsing, but he kept me strong, and I persevered, and kept on going. I'm trying to find the value in this for somebody that's maybe struggling with the same things. I mean, Laura gave me an ultimatum: either sober up or I'm leaving. And I guess the crave to drink, my journey became more spiritual, and he took it away from me, thankfully. I don't know why, with all the things that I'd done, but that urge left me, and then from then I've been on a quest to grow and get better. I mean, I think it definitely helped me. I think it helped with my mental toughness. I think going through that, right? Those experiences you don't see it at the time, that they're preparing you for things to come. And I
Yeah.
think it definitely helped with my mental toughness, my discipline. I could be more disciplined, but I've definitely come a long way. And my habits. And I think that is the hardest thing for people to grasp. It's the change comes in you, right? If you change your habits, you'll change your life.
Hmm.
But for some people, including myself in some areas, it's just so difficult for people, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I wish I had a magic answer. I mean, I plugged into Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. You guys are probably aware of that. You may be aware of that. So I still institute a lot of that into my daily life in terms of the time that I get up and the reading that I do in the morning and the exercise that I do. Um, I guess that's been a big help.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it all starts within you. If you work on you and you consistently do that, then your life will begin to change.
Oh
So
yeah,
that was a lot.
definitely. And I can relate, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like basically all you're saying is you were going through hard times. Um, you just had like a aha moment where just things made sense for you, where you just felt like you had to change. It wasn't something that you planned on, but it just kind of found its way into your life. And
Yeah.
at that point, you just decided that you weren't going to do anything that you were doing in the past, like the drinking, the drugs, and the stealing, and all that, and you just decided to make a change. And
Yeah.
I guess, like, aside from like
Mm.
the books and like maybe meditations or self-help and the things that you might have done, like what else would you say has helped you with making this change? Obviously, like God as well. I know you're
Yeah.
heavily involved with the church and God and stuff and your spirituality. Um, what
Mm.
else would you say has been a main factor in that change as well?
Eliminating people, places, and things, right?
Hmm.
For sure. And then being around once again like-minded people that are on the same quest or maybe have experienced the
Yeah.
same challenges, and have also decided to make a change? That's a great question, Michael, and I don't think I take the time to think about it enough. And I think that I need to spend some more time there so I can potentially help other people that are in the same situation, because I was very selfish for many, many years.
Yeah.
Some people will say I still am, but but I was. I've come a long way.
I bet
Um,
you.
Yeah, so that's something that we all work on, but definitely my relationship with the Lord, and I know that I wouldn't be here. I know, however crazy that sounds, you just question why you made it and other people didn't.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to strive to be better,
No,
for sure.
100%, man. We actually
Yeah.
have similar stories in a way. Um, in 2019, I got arrested for selling weed and cocaine. And I didn't really
Mhm.
do drugs much. I did smoke weed, but it was weird. So just a little bit about like kind of where I came from. Growing up, I was a good kid. I grew up in a good household. My dad's kind of an alcoholic. He smoked cigarettes all the time and stuff, and he's got his personal issues that he deals with. He didn't go down the route of the same route that you did. He's more just kind of like stuck in his ways. But so I grew up watching him, but then I also grew up with my mother, who was like the role model for me, and
Hmm.
she took care of
Hmm.
me. She taught me. She would sit me at the kitchen table till I was crying. It would be like 1 o'clock in the morning, but she'd make sure that I did all my homework before I went to sleep. um so growing up, I don't know why, but I had this like need for people to like me. So I was always the class clown, the funny kid.
Mm,
Um, I was one of the cool kids, but then also at the same time, uh, I got bullied in school and stuff too. And it was just a really weird situation and just got in with the wrong
mm,
crowds. I started selling drugs, you know, sold weed for a long time and got into selling cocaine and, guns. And I'll never forget like the day that I got arrested. The whole SWAT team came into the Applebee's kitchen. I was a server and they surrounded my entire staff. We were having a meeting. And it was crazy because at that moment, that's when like reality hit,
mm,
like, oh shit, you're screwed, right? Um, from that, I ended up doing 3 months in jail. I got 2 years probation. My lawyer got my cocaine charge dropped. I had four felony marijuana charges dropped, and I got stuck with one felony. Um, I didn't learn my lesson when I got out of jail. I moved in with some friends, started doing the same type of stuff. And luckily,
mm,
one of my friend's mothers was friends with the sheriff. She was a paralegal. And the guy that was like the head head sheriff at the time. And she was like, hey, the only reason that I'm telling you this is because my son goes to your house. And she told me and the three other people that live in the house, she was like, the police are coming to raid your house.
oh my gosh.
And you didn't
Mm,
hear this from me, but you better clean yourselves up and you're not hanging out with my son anymore. I'm telling you this because if he comes over here, I don't want you guys letting him in. So I was like, oh shit. So immediately I took all the drugs that I had, I threw them in the woods, and I never turned back to doing that again. And that's kind of like my aha moment, like that made me realize that was the realtor showing the house, right? For
mm,
you. And
yeah.
I never did it again. Now I don't even, do drugs. Like I'll drink once in a while. I don't smoke anymore. So, but it's just like sometimes just unexpectedly, things will just come to you. And then uh another thing kind of like where you're getting at is like the self-development. I just by chance met somebody in the um sauna at the gym and he sold real estate and he got my interest in real estate. I got my license, sold timeshare for years. I saw how much money that you can make doing sales. And then when COVID
Mhm.
hit, that's when I, got into wanting to do real estate. And at the time, I wasn't very responsible, with my money. I made a lot of money, but I spent it on stupid shit. And as you knew my situation, and I came to you and asked for some help, and you gave me some advice and help on how to get started. Um, and I can't thank you enough for the help that you gave me, without getting into details on like everything. But um,
No problem. Did they ever raid the house?
not that I know of.
No, I was curious. If
Yeah,
often, right? Yeah.
I don't know if
Um,
she was lying or not, man, but
hey, who cares?
it worked.
That's it. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
it
Yeah,
worked.
for sure.
So, because they were doing a legal tattoo shop in the garage, I was selling drugs. My roommate was selling drugs. My other roommate was doing drugs. So it was
Wow.
just the wrong house to be in. It was a trap house, basically, if you know what that is. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, it
Mm,
just really comes down to you, right? Because there's two ways you can go if you look at you and you look at your friend. Life is all about the choices that you make, right? And if you continuously make the same choices, you're going to keep getting the same results.
yeah.
If you want to live a different life, you have to do things differently.
Yeah.
So, but
For sure.
yeah, man. Now, what I want to touch on before we end the podcast, because we got about maybe 15 minutes here, is the other side of real estate, right? So obviously you're wildly successful as a real estate broker associate. You're successful as on personal production and stuff like that. How would you say, as far as investing is concerned, and um, be open and honest about this because that's why we're here, right? As a broker associate, you have tons of people on your team. They're doing tons of transactions. Do you know the value of what doing investing deals can bring to your team and your brokerage? Have you explored it at all? Obviously, I know you have because, we work together sometimes on things, but like looking at it from the other side, what are some of the positives you see? What would be some of the maybe worries that you might have? And then what would be maybe the negatives that have stopped you from working on investment deals in the past?
My own personal, Michael, or just
Yeah, just how do you see it?
yeah.
Like positives,
Mm,
worries, and negatives.
um, positives from a consumer perspective. I think having those options, sellers should have options. So being able to go into an appointment with options for sellers,
Mhm.
uh, I think is a huge value add both for you as the agent and for the consumer. Um, Worries. I don't know that I have any worries. The only worries that I would have is just is that the consumer make the right choice and
Mhm.
not get um derailed and forced into making a decision and then netting less money or not being in such a favorable position
Mhm.
as what they could have been. Um, and then you said worries,
That was
concern. You
worries,
said
and then maybe like a negative experience that you've had in the past.
um, negative. Negative would be the wholesalers. I think that not always, and I could be wrong.
No, of
I
course you're fine.
think, yeah, I think for a novice investor, I think on a lot of wholesale deals, there isn't as much meat on the bone as what the wholesalers are saying,
Hmm.
dependent on their spread. And a novice investor can end up holding the, I don't know, holding the pan, if you will, because they'll pick it up thinking that those margins are there, and all reality they're not. And by the time they get the property fixed up and back on the market, the wholesaler's made their 10, 20, 30, 40 grand, has moved on. So that would be my caution for investors to truly look at the numbers if you're entertaining a wholesale deal.
Hmm. Okay. Now, from a broker's associate perspective, here's the struggles that you come across as a investor, right? So let's just have that conversation. As an investor, there's really three types of agents that I found, right? And
Mm,
there could be different types to other people or whatever, but what I found is you've got novice agents and closed-minded agents, right? So the novice agents and the closed-minded agents, a novice, I guess they're both in the same, but they could be also experienced and closed-minded. Um, Usually when you come across those, they rather not admit that they don't know what you're talking about. So they'll immediately say, I don't work with investors. Investors are scammers. My client's not interested. That's the top three things that you hear, right?
I could see that. Yeah.
Now, you've also got the investor that they're not necessarily close-minded. They're not new. They've done tons and tons of deals. Maybe they've even come across some investment deals, but they're not sure of them. And the thing I like about those people are they're easily educated, right? And those are the people that you're talking about, right? The people that are looking to grow, they want to keep expanding their business, expanding their mind, and expanding their personal. So they're
Mm,
open. And then
Hmm.
you've got the agents that, or the brokers associate, whoever it can be, that they've had a bad experience, right? And one of the big things that I like to point out about that is with the closed-minded agents and the new agents, don't be that guy, right? If you're an agent and you're listening to this, don't be that person because at the end of the day, you're losing the opportunity to actually help your clients, right? And as an example, I've got this big broker, right? And she has a 13 unit portfolio in St. Pete. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. I'm not here to bash people. But her client, they pulled out in 2018 a $4 million commercial loan. They're currently in foreclosure. And I was talking with this agent. She sent me this portfolio, and I was asking her, can I get the P&Ls for this? Can I get pro formas? Do you have worksheets to be able to run the numbers and make sure it's a good deal? She kept saying, I don't have that. I'm not, we can't give that to you yet until you put an offer. And I'm like, well, how can we put an offer if we don't know the numbers? She's like, well, you don't need to know the numbers right now. I already told you how much it gets in rent. And I was like, yes, you gave me the current rents, and I haven't even verified those. So do you have documentation showing the current rents? Do you have documentation showing how you've grown the rents over the years? Do you have documentation showing the occupancy rates? Because she told me that they have 12 of the properties are occupied and one's vacant, and that they've never had issues paying rent, right? I found that funny. And usually, when someone won't give you information, they have something to hide, right? So I looked at the properties. She sent me over the list of the properties. I looked at the properties and I found out they were in foreclosure. They actually went in foreclosure on February 7th of this year. So now it's July. So that's about 5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her client is in huge pain. He's about to lose a portfolio he's had since 2018. Not only that, it's going to completely ruin his credit. It's going to ruin his reputation, and most likely on a personal level, it's going to ruin him. When you've got that much property, and that's not all the properties he has. He's got properties in other states and stuff too. So what she says, right? By her being closed-minded, I basically told her like, I got an offer on the property immediately. It was for $3.7 million for owner finance. It wasn't going to work because they had all those mortgages, which I didn't know at the time, and I probably should have, looked that up first. But from what she was telling me, um, I was kind of going with what she said, right? Now, once I looked up all the information, I messaged her back, and she was like, I was like, well, do you think that they'd be open to letting us take over the loans or whatever? She's like, I've got three hedge funds looking at this right now. And unless you put an offer, I'm not even going to take you seriously. And I was like, ma'am. And she said, I deal honestly and with integrity. And I was like, well, if you deal honestly and with integrity, you you and I both know that hedge funds do not deal that way. And what happens if they make an offer on the property and what you're asking for is basically what you owe? What happens if they make an offer and then it's off market, you don't have anybody, going for it, and then they pull that deal? Or they pull, oh, well, we'll give you $2.5 million because that's what hedge funds do. I know you know that all the time they do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, listen, we can take over the payments for this mortgage and we can get him caught up. We can help him rebuild his credit so that way he can start his life over sooner, right? Now, whether she gets back to me or not, it's probably going to come down to the very last minute when they get the auction date for all his properties and everything else, and she has no other options. That's usually how it goes. But the reason I'm sharing this is I want people to understand that in situations like that, maybe if you just list the house 7 days on the market, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful property. You can sell it normal, fine. That's great. But if you've got a client where you know that they can use the help, that's where these strategies come into play and where they're so valuable, right? Because now we can save someone for foreclosure, we can help their credit, and we can also help them individually so they don't have that stress of that foreclosure anymore, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, on the other side, you've got the people that just don't know and they want to be educated. Those are the great people. And I don't think I have to explain that much. But then there's the last category where someone had a bad experience. The only time as a real estate agent that you can have a bad experience with investing is if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what to look for, and if you don't know the right questions to ask. Because if your client gets screwed over or gets put in a bad situation, or if you yourself do, say that you're buying a property yourself, it's your lack of knowledge that caused that to happen,
Yeah.
right? So, as a broker's associate and someone with so much experience in real estate, I mean, how do you feel about what I just said and what I just covered? Like for any realtors or other brokers that hear this, like what is your take on it?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it comes just back to being open-minded, right? And willing to listen to something that you don't necessarily understand, but may be the best remedy depending on the situation. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's what it comes back to is maybe there's a lot of ego in real estate, Michael.
Yeah.
So as we said before, so maybe it
Oh,
comes
yeah.
it comes back to being open-minded and humbling yourself and on that call saying, well, hey, look, I don't know anything about this. Let's
Mhm.
talk about this a little bit more, you
Yeah.
know? Or I don't know what ROI means, or I don't know what numbers my investor is supposed to furnish for you to look at. But you know what? Let me know and I'll go ask them.
Hmm.
That's it, right? So ego and open-mindedness in a nutshell.
100%, man. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and for anyone listening, like I am a realtor, so if you think I'm talking shit about realtors, like I'm a realtor myself and I'm an investor and
yeah,
I'm actually under Steve. So, talking with him, we're just having open discussion here, but I want you to understand I have empathy and I understand how you guys feel when you're approached. And kind of like to your point, Steve, how you were saying, um, there is a lot of novice investors and there's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing. And that's why I say for realtors to protect your client, you need to understand this because sub two is not illegal. Owner
mm,
financing is not illegal.
yeah,
Wraps are not illegal. They're not unethical. They're actually taught in real estate schools. They're just not covered very much.
right.
They
True.
mention things in your curriculum, but it doesn't teach you those things, right? So
Mhm.
in order to be the Steve Pughs or the Veronica Figueroas or any other person that's in this industry where you're top of the game, you know, Steve, are you just doing like minimal shit or are you actually like putting in the work and learning new things and learning things that other people aren't taking the time to learn.
Of course. That's what I'm doing. I'm constantly learning. If you think you're
So,
done learning, you're done, right? And I'm normally the first one in here and the last one to leave.
and that's what it takes. You're the Kobe of real estate, man. So, and the Michael Jordan of real estate. But all right, man. Well, I guess our time is up here. So before we go, is there any messages that you want to leave for anybody listening to this, whether it's covering any of the personal stuff, real estate stuff, investing stuff, regular real estate? Like,
Mm,
what do you have to
I mean,
say?
the only thing that I would probably leave is just, in terms of a seller and a listing, I think sometimes we need to have those different hats on rather than just going to the appointment with one solution, right?
Mhm.
So dependent on the seller situation, they need to find somebody who's well versed in sub twos, in wraps, in creative financing, because if the conventional list process is not beneficial to the client or doesn't work for their situation, they have those options. So that's what I would tell everybody to do is plug in. If you don't want to take the time to learn about it and you want to focus on your real estate career, and this isn't a plug for you, Michael.
Hmm.
I think it's if it's not Michael, it needs to be somebody, right? Where you can have that person in your corner where you can say, well, shoot, I just left this listing appointment. This guy doesn't have much time. A regular listing won't work. He's upside down or the numbers don't jive. Let me call Michael and see if he can do something.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So, and I
Yeah.
100% agree with that, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, if it's not me, you know, if not for yourself, it should always be for your clients, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um, at the
For
end of the
sure.
day, you need to know this stuff. It's not that you could know it or you might, benefit from it. Like this is a benefit to your clients, right? And in just a real short description, I helped somebody out, and this is someone I'll never forget, and I never will. He was a veteran. They moved here from Texas. The daughter was being bullied in school. She was having a hard time being away from her friends back in Texas.
Mm.
She took her own life in their
Oh
garage.
my gosh. Dang.
Yeah. And the house was underwater. It was negative tens of thousands of dollars in equity. So a realtor reached out to me and she said, listen, I've got this house. I really need to help this guy. He can't afford to pay agent commissions. He can't pay closing costs. He can't pay nothing. He's negative tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I was actually able to find him a buyer for the house. They took it over subject to. He didn't have to pay any closing costs. He didn't have to pay nothing. Um, and the great thing about that was imagine losing your daughter and
Mm.
then on top of that, having to go through the pain of losing your house because of a foreclosure, because you can no longer afford to, live in that house. And then on top of that, you also have the memories of what
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So if anyone thinks that this doesn't help and it doesn't work, you can call him up. His name's Angelo. He told me I can give his number to anybody. I'm not going to do it on here. I don't want people blowing him up, but
Mm-mm.
um, you tell him that it's a scam and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You tell the thousands of people that this is helping every single day, right? So,
Good.
um, but yeah, if you guys got value out of this video, make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, do everything that you do with social media, hit the notifications button, and until the next one.